Good afternoon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Lieutenant General John Jensen, former Director of the Army National Guard, welcome to the promotion ceremony in honor of Colonel Jeremy Foote. I am Colonel Morocco Roberts, your MC for today's ceremony. Please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem by Master Sergeant Ashley Keeks, followed by the invocation by Chaplain Robert Stevens.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regleam, the bombs bursting in air, give proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
If you would, let's join together in a word of prayer. Almighty God, we give you thanks for this day as we gather in this joyous occasion to celebrate the promotion of Colonel Jeremy Foote. Our hearts are filled with excitement for him and for his family as we mark this significant achievement and continued responsibility. You have prepared Colonel Foote for this day and blessed him with this special trust. You have endowed him with great ability and experience to ensure that he is more than prepared for this task. You have given him leaders, mentors, and peers to help him along the way, many of whom are here today. Thank you for all of this and so much more. God, we also thank you for Jeremy's incredible family. We recognize that their sacrifice and support they have made in his service and for our nation. Thank you especially for his wife, Stacy, and the supportive children of JJ and Delaney. May they too celebrate as we all recognize their part in this achievement. Please guide our proceedings, for we are reminded that with you and your power in us, we can do far more than we ever asked or imagined. In your holy name we ask. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Master Sergeant Keeks, for that great rendition of the national anthem, and Chaplain Stevens for those encouraging words. Now, I would like to take a moment to recognize the distinguished guests with us today and ask that you please hold your applause until the end. Lieutenant General Jonathan Stubbs, Acting Chief of the National Guard Bureau, Major General Luke Amon, Acting Vice Chief of the National Guard Bureau, the Honorable John and Danielle Whitley, former Acting Secretary of the Army, Lieutenant General Paul Chamberlain, Military Deputy for Budget, Assistant Secretary of the Army, Financial Management Comptroller, Major General Rich Baldwin, Acting Director of the Army National Guard, Major General Robert Davis, Director of Staff, Army National Guard. Additionally, sharing in today's special occasion are many family and friends we are honored to have in attendance and online. I will introduce just a few. His wife, Stacy, of 22 years. Stacy, good job. Waited till he was a captain. Make sure he was a winner first. Got it? She was a school teacher that transitioned to homeschooling when the kids were born till last year, supporting Colonel Foote and his career, taking care of the family, keeping everything stable, standing on both feet. You guys are gonna have to get better than that, 'cause there's a whole bunch of those in here. Not the applause. His daughter Delaney, heading into 9th grade. She loves exploring, wrote a 15,000-word book, plays guitar. Oh, nice. His son JJ, who is going to be a junior. JJ, you get that license yet? Yes, yeah, all right. He's on the road, y'all, be careful. And I understand he played all the Mario games to date. Another fun fact, him and Delaney created and marketed a board game called Sandwich Time. So if you haven't seen it or played it, it's time. His father, Jim, retired 06 not once, but twice, and was a retiree recall who at one point joined his son on a deployment in 2008. That's some legendary stuff, sir. I've been telling people Bigfoot was real. Huh? See what I did there? His mother, Lana, a teacher and educator, taught special ed, stood up learning labs, amazing stuff, and from what I hear, do not challenge her in bridge. And finally, 3 of Colonel Foote's lifelong friends since 6th grade, Chris, David, and Hodge, in attendance today. Thank you so much for coming. So, thank you, as well as any other general officers, senior executive service members, directors, senior enlisted leaders. We are pleased that you could attend today's ceremony. Now, as most of you know, Colonel Foote is a finance and comptroller officer. G8, where the finance people at? There it is. So I am truly honored to be a part of the ceremony today. And when you reached out to me and told me to call you, Director's XO calls you, you know you either did something wrong or, right? But I knew something was afoot. So, we finance folks are extremely proud of you, sir, and it looks like we are putting our best foot forward. Now, from my research, he is one of only 3 finance and comptroller general officers in the Army National Guard. You guys can fact check me later, and the first to come out of the Army National Guard Readiness Center. So, sir, you must have really booked shoes, because that is no small feat. But, as you can imagine, we want this promotion ceremony to be filled with pride and history, but also a little bit special, with some not so traditional elements. Sir, you gave me a little latitude today to do some different things. I know you're a little worried because sometimes you give people an inch, they take a foot. Huh? But not to worry, sir. I'll be on my best behavior, and to ensure I stay on track and didn't forget anything, I made a lot of footnotes. However, I must adhere to your wife Stacy's direction, as she does not want this to be only a traditional ceremony. So, having said that, now I would like to summarize Colonel Foote's illustrious career, which you can follow along with in your bio. Colonel Foote enlisted in the Guard back in 1992, joined in Arkansas. At the age of 17, he was lean and mean, graduated OCS to be all he can be. He was a platoon leader, battery command. 2004 AGR was at his hands. He worked on the plans, followed protocol, formulated budgets. The man did it all. Went overseas with the IBCT, came back finance, because it's all about the money. Selected to serve in some key slots like battalion command. This dude was hot. He even had my current job as the G8. Capabilities in planning, he should wear a cape. The director heard about him, said, be my XO, and it was General Jensen. How could he say no? He's great at these jobs, as I'm sure you can guess. So many medals on his jacket, you can hardly see his chest. The rest is history. Now everyone knows how a kid from Arkansas came to be a GO. Hey. Thank you. It's not about me, it's Colonel Foote today here, everybody. But if you do like those skills, please subscribe to my channel. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the presiding official for today's event, Lieutenant General John Jensen.
You know, and I thought Frank Germanese was the only money guy with an attitude. Of course, I knew that because at Holly's not retirement, but her event when she left here, it's like, God, this Morocco guy's kind of funny. But hey, good afternoon, everybody. John Jensen, for the 50% of the people in the room who forgot who I was. Yeah, I used to work here. And for the other 50% who are wondering, am I ever going to leave? Yes, tomorrow. I promise. The Goodbye to Jensen tour will come to an end, but you know what? I am so privileged to be here today. And I told Jeremy and his family that this afternoon that everything aligned and worked out to where I could be here and help honor and promote. Honor Jeremy's family and promote Jeremy today. And so, as mentioned, Stacy, JJ, Delaney are all here. The one thing I'd like to add about sandwich time, okay? I'm not keeping a list. This is kind of like, the August news. Who bought one of the games from the family, from the Foot family? Well done. Okay, keep your hands up here. Keep your hands up. Who turned them into an adult drinking game? All right, there's like 4 or 5 of us. Well done. I'm sorry, kids. That's what we do. It was a lot of fun. It works out well. I'll teach you the rules maybe in 5, 6, 10 years or something like that. Jim and Elena, it's good to see you again. I know you're both exceptionally proud. Jim said that when Jeremy was in basic training, he wrote him a letter every day. Now I thought, oh, what a great display of fatherly love. No, he made sure he put Lieutenant Colonel on the return address because he knew that his son would be doing extra push-ups at basic training because he was getting a letter from a lieutenant colonel. So I imagine on Monday or Tuesday when the mail caught up, it was like 4 or 5 letters showing up at one time, and that's. But I was also thinking, I mean, look at Jeremy Foote. Could you imagine what he looked like when he was 17 years old at basic training? The guy probably weighed 115 pounds. And so we did. I did see a picture of that. He looks like a younger version of JJ. So just take a look at JJ there. Chris, David, and Hodge, where are you guys at? All right. Hey, welcome. Thanks for coming here. And I understand that Chris and David, you went to his basic training graduation. Is that correct? All right. You were either exceptionally proud of him or just couldn't believe it. You wanted to be there, right? To make sure everything worked out. The Honorable Whitley, sir, good to see you again. Yeah, thanks for being here. I know it means a lot to Jeremy and the family. And Paul, good to see you, brother, as well as our National Guard team up here. It's good to see all of you. Thanks for being here and supporting Jeremy. As mentioned, Jeremy enlisted at age 17 as an aerial scout. In the Arkansas National Guard, was commissioned in 1997 after state OCS, entered the Title X program at the National Guard Professional Education Center there in Little Rock in 2004, and has had an array of finance and comptroller positions, but also commanded the BSTB for the 39th IBCT, which is outstanding, and as mentioned, deployed with his father in 2018, Lana, I couldn't imagine what that was like to have both your husband and your son deployed. And Jeremy, I couldn't imagine deploying with my father. That's one of the reasons why I joined the Army, was to get away from my dad. And here you are. He came out of retirement just so he could deploy with you. I'm like, geez, this is really weird. But that's all right. That's okay. I met Jeremy here, my first year as the director, when he was my G8, and just incredibly impressive officer. Quiet, humble, articulate, always on target, always on the objective. Never gave me questionable guidance. I always thought that at the time I had the best G8 that I possibly could have, and then he left, and I remember thinking to myself, my God, how am I going to get by without Jeremy here? And the record shows not very well. But besides that, we got through that. But what I said was Thanks, Ollie. What I said to myself is, like, if I get another chance to hire Jeremy, I'm gonna take that chance. And Brad Marshing, my previous XO, or my XO at the time, got an opportunity to command a brigade in Maryland, and took that. And I had just a stack of really well qualified people that could have stepped in there. But when I got the chance to hire Jeremy, I did. And I tell you, again, it was a great personnel decision. Jeremy fit right in, certainly different than Brad Marshing, but the same team-oriented, honest speaker, and it was just a great relationship from the very first moment on. And then when I transitioned over to the acting vice's job, as I mentioned last week, him and Leslie, who I see over here, the two teams from that office and this office just really melded together and really supported me. And it's because, quite frankly, of the quality of person that Jeremy Foote is. So while he is a great officer, while he is a great comptroller, was a great G8, let me tell you, he's a better person. He's a better man than any of those. And, you know, I always say, you know, when my kids were growing up, I'd always say, hey, if you want to know who you are, look at who your friends are. Your friends are a reflection of you. And I think in this business, who you surround yourself with is also a reflection of what you think is important and maybe who you are. And so to be surrounded by people like Jeremy Foote here, I couldn't help but be successful. And Jeremy, so I'd like to thank you for not only the year that you were my G8, but the year that you were my XO. It was a great decision, and when we got the opportunity to promote you here, you know, we jumped at it. It wasn't just me; it was General Hokanson as well, and we jumped at that opportunity. We know you're going to be a great general officer, and you're going to continue to coach, teach, mentor people, represent your family, represent your state, represent the Army Guard, and represent the Army in the most professional and positive manner that you can. So congratulations, Jeremy. I'm super proud of you. And everybody that's here today, thanks so much for coming here today and being a small part of honoring Jeremy's family. As I told him, you know, while there's a lot of focus over here, it's all about you guys today. Today is really your day. For all of your love and support to your husband, to your father, to your son. And thanks for being there for him. Thanks for making today possible. We'll be better because of that love and support. So thank you. So again, thanks everybody for being here. Jeremy, let's go. Let's get promoted. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, General Jensen. At this time, I would like to ask Colonel Foote and his family to please come forward and join General Jensen on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Lieutenant General Jensen will now direct the publishing of the promotion order for Colonel Foote to the rank of Brigadier General.
Publish the order.
Attention to orders. Special Order number 149001. The President of the United States has reposed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of Jeremy Ross Foote. In view of these qualities and his demonstrated potential for increased responsibility, he is therefore promoted in the United States Army to the rank of Brigadier General, effective date of 15 August 2024, by the orders of the Secretaries of the Army and the Air Force. Colonel Foote is being promoted by his wife Stacy and his parents, Jim and Lana. Colonel Foote's epaulets are being replaced by his children, JJ and Delaney. Thank you all. You may return to your seats. Throughout the history of warfare, a general officer's flag symbolized their command on the battlefield. The Army has incorporated the use of flags to signify the presence of a general officer. This flag will be present at all military functions, hosted by the general officer, and visibly displayed in the office of the general officer. To commemorate this promotion to Brigadier General in the United States Army, Command Sergeant Major Robert Foch will now present Brigadier General Foote his personal colors. At this time, will Lieutenant General Stubbs please come forward to administer the oath of office?
From the position of attention, raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jeremy Ralston,
Having been appointed a Brigadier General
having been appointed Brigadier General
in the United States Army,
in the United States Army,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I bear true faith
that I bear true faith
and allegiance to the same.
and allegiance to the same,
I make this obligation freely,
and I make this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office
of the office
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you, General Stubbs. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the newest Brigadier General in the United States Army, Brigadier General Jeremy Foote.
Oh, sorry about that. Those are your notes. Okay. Oh, here's mine. Here's mine. General Jensen, General Stubbs, General Chamberlain, Honorable Whitley, members of the Senior Executive Service, friends, family, both here in the room and online, those that are dialed in. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to be here. As I look out across the room, I see people from my past jobs, of course, but also people from all the way back in the 6th grade. Paige, I see you over there too. So 4 people from back in my high school days, amazing. See folks from my church. I see family that made it into town. Thank you all for showing up. I am honored and frankly humbled that you took the time to celebrate this day with me when there's so many better things that you could have been doing. Over the past 6+ years, ever since General Horlander promoted me right here in this room to Colonel, and right before I took the reins as the G8, I've been in positions where officers within my division or my directorates would get word that their number was being called for promotion, and many of them are in this room. And then many of them would come to me and they would express a preference to just quietly pin on. We don't need a big ceremony, nothing big to do, and just go out about their daily business. And then they get the speech from me. General Hoylander, thank you for coming. Oh, that's all right. Traffic is a bear out there. All right, so they get the speech. They want to just do something in the back. So I tell them promotion ceremonies are integrated into our tradition, and promotion ceremonies are part of our culture. And we have them because you have friends and family that want to celebrate with you. And I knew that if I asked General Jensen if we could just do something quick back in the office, that I would be on the receiving end of that speech, and I didn't want to be there. So knowing that I was going to have to do something, I reserved myself to work with protocol and try to put together something that was worthy of the time you were giving up to be here. And that planning started with filling some of the key roles that are part of almost every ceremony. You know, you need someone to MC, someone to pray, someone to sing, someone to host. Coincidentally, there were 4 people that I really wanted to be part of my ceremony. That's Chaplain Stevens, Master Sergeant Keeks, who came in and had to leave because she had to go pick up her son from daycare, Colonel Roberts, and of course General Jensen. And I knew in my head what I wanted each one of them to do, but I did want to test fate just a little bit, just to make sure that the stars aligned with what my vision was. So after confirming that they were all available and willing to be part of the ceremony, I called a meeting with just the 5 of us. I don't know if you remember this, sir? Okay, yes, he remembers it very well. All right, so I called a meeting with the 5 of us, and we all met down there in the director's office and went over my crazy plan to assign these roles out to everybody. And I knew which role I wanted them to do, but I explained my plan to tempt fate and see if the stars aligned. So Lieutenant General Jensen thought it was a great idea. Morocco, Robert, Pastor Stevens, Ashley, they didn't really take kindly to my idea. It went like this. I took 4 note cards, and I wrote on them, pray, sing, MC, and host. Well, actually, truth in lending, you didn't know this, but there was a 5th card that said get promoted, but I kept that one from myself. So I put them behind my back, and I shuffled them up really good, and I gave 1 card to each person, totally at random, and then said, this is how we're going to do it. So everyone lined up. They were unfolding their cards, and they were looking at their assignment. And I looked at Chaplain Stevens, and he had a big smile on his face, and he said, I got pray. Yes. And I looked at Master Sergeant Keeks, and she had a smile on her face too. She said, whew, I got sing. And she looked very relieved, honestly. Colonel Roberts, he was over there pumping his fist. He's like, I got MC. So I was like, okay. And then I looked at General Jensen, who looked really bummed out, honestly, like someone just took your lunch money. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I said, sir, I guess this means you got host, right? So why the glum face? He said, yeah, honestly, you described this random assignment thing, and I was secretly a little excited. I've done 1,000 of these events, and it's always, hey, sir, will you host? Hey, sir, will you host? Host, host, host. It's always host, host, host. And since I retired last week, he's going to retire, and this is going to be his last shot to do something other than just kill time telling stories about the honoree. I really just wanted one of those other jobs. And I was like, oh my gosh, that didn't go the way I thought. So which one did you want? He said, it doesn't matter, I'll be the host. But I was his XO, so I wanted to make him happy. So I went to Chaplain Stevens and I said, hey, will you trade your pray ticket? He wants to do something else. And he said, no, this is a sign from God. This is where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the Lord's will, right? So, how could I argue with that? I couldn't. So I moved down to Colonel Roberts, who was over there working on some kind of rap song. And Master Sergeant Keeks, and she was already warming up her vocal cords, doing the do-re-mis. And I asked them if they wanted to trade, and they said, no, I agree with the chaplain. This is the Lord's will. It's a sign from heaven. And they weren't going to trade, so General Jensen was stuck with being the host again. I'm sorry about that, sir. And I still left wondering, which of those other roles he wanted. And, sir, I didn't know that you wanted to do a public prayer or sing a solo or flex your dope rhymes in front of a live audience. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to make your dreams come true. And honestly, now that I'm up here with the the chaplain staring right at me, I am starting to feel a little guilty. So it is time to come clean. This is my confession. I rigged the drawing. I made sure the cards ended up in the right spot. So it really wasn't random. And now with my conscience getting the better of me, I feel like I should make the following proposal if you want to take it. At the end of the ceremony, there is another prayer, so that's on the table if you want to take it. The Army song, you'll see it's on we usually sing that as a big group, but, sir, if you want to make a solo, just let me know. All right. We're kind of done with the MC role, but I think we can probably arrange an epic rap battle if you want to do a rap battle at the reception. I think, Morocco's up for it, so think about it. I'll be over here about another 15 minutes. You don't have to decide now.
I was just going to say, I think you've already talked enough.
As if that's possible. All right. Yeah. Clearly, there's some rhyme or reason as to why I chose these individuals to be part of my ceremony. Chaplain Stevens is a major in the Army Reserves, currently assigned to the Office of the Chief of Chaplains. And as a reservist, he also has a full-time job, and that full-time job happens to be Pastor Robert, the pastor at my church, First Baptist Church of Alexandria. So thank you for being part of my ceremony, Chaplain Stevens, i.e. Pastor Robert. And thank you for that invocation and for the upcoming benediction, unless stolen by General. Okay. All right. Ashley Keeks, a Master Sergeant in the Air Force Band. As I mentioned, she had to leave to go pick up her son, but she's also a member of the FBCA choir and has been known from time to time to sing a solo at church, obviously. She's a master at her craft, and so I'm thankful that she was able to come in here and do this for me and be part of it. And then since most of my time here at National Guard Bureau has been spent in the G8, as Colonel Roberts mentioned, I really wanted someone who represented that part of my professional career. So Morocco, my friend, thank you for emceeing this event. And of course, General Jensen, I had the first privilege to meet him when he first came here as the director, as he pointed out. I did go away for 2 years over to the NGB Joint Staff and then got to come back as his XO, and I was so thankful to be able to do that. He said he chose me from a big stack of people. That stack was really probably one person deep, and they just put a lot of fluff paper in there. But it made it look bigger than it was. But I appreciate you selecting me and letting me come over. General Jensen's retirement ceremony was a week and a half ago, and the movers packed up all of his stuff yesterday, and they are kicking him out of quarters, which means I was able to see you go from a 2-star tag to 3-star director to now unemployed and homeless. Yeah. So, hey. Yeah, I hope it happens to me someday. So just between us, if you're to the point where you're wondering where's my next meal going to come from, there is some cake in the back, and there's a reception later today. So, sir, I jest a little bit. Of course, you know me closely for the past year. You know I will jest from time to time. But I don't jest about this. Thank you for being such a great example of what a leader should be, sir. You demand respect from those that are around you. And it's not because you issue it as a command. It's not because you held a prestigious position as the director of the Army National Guard. And it's not because you have 3 stars on your shoulders. You silently demanded respect through your actions, the way you listened to those around you, and the way you made decisions transparently, and the way you treated others, both in public and private. That is the kind of example that I want to follow, and it's the kind of example that I want to set, and I just want to thank you for modeling it. In one of our office calls, General Jensen asked me, just kind of in passing, is your family going to be here at the ceremony? Which is a simple question, but got a little bit more complex as I started to think about it more and more. And now as I look out across the room, I see that, sir, yes is the answer to that question. My family is here at the ceremony. Or perhaps more appropriately, my families are here. This is what I mean. As we go about daily lives, we tend to congregate into many different groups. It's just the way that we as humans are designed. We need fellowship and community for emotional, spiritual, physical, and professional well-being, and just overall sanity. At different times in life, these circles are different. They're created around education, the workplace, sports, common activities, or shared interest. A couple of examples. Around here, and I see them in the crowd, is my PEC alumni group. So there's several of you out there right now. PEC, which is located at Camp Robinson, Arkansas, is where I first started working on ADSW back in 2001. There's not many of us in that original group still around these halls, but when I run into some of you, we usually swap stories about the good old days of training holidays, monthly golf outings. We reminisce about the big family day, and we pray that those pictures of us dressed up as Santa's elves with pointy ears and the green tights, no kidding, have long been deleted from PEC's servers. Another example is my fellow Razorback fans. These are the people that pass each other in the hallway about this time every year, and we dream about how, if everything goes right, how the Hogs are going to manage a 10-win season and what New Year's Six bowl they might go to. And then we reconvene in December to make excuses for why we only eked out 2 or 3 wins. Those are just a couple of examples of informal groups in my life. They don't necessarily integrate into, daily life, but they're still there and they play a small part in who we are. But we also have those groups that, whether by choice or by circumstance, we invest more time into and they invest more time into us. These are the ones where we form relationships that are a little bit deeper, the bonds are a little bit tighter, the connections are stronger, and these are where informal groups turn into families. Being part of a family requires an investment in time, energy, effort, and emotion, and those are all limited personal resources. So it's hard to have more than a few groups that rise to that level. There's 3 groups or families that emerge for me when I think about it through that lens, and they're represented here today. And those are my work family, my church family, and of course my personal family. And I want to take a minute just to talk about each of those before I jump off the stage here. So I'll start with my work family. It's probably the biggest and most noticeable group here. Obviously, this is a promotion for work. When you're in the midst of a professional career, at least half of your waking hours are spent with your work family. And I've got to say that I've been incredibly blessed to have most of the people in this room to be part of my work family. This next assignment will take me into my 17th job since I came onto the AGR program as a captain. That was back at PEC when Colonel Mike Timmy had me and my fellow captains, like Chad Bridges, Anthony Hammett, Tom Bright, Andy Hall, and others, put on our pointy ears and green tights and dance around as Santa's elves every December. And that was actually a great place to work. And I remember thinking, about 2 or 3 months into that job, this has got to be the best place in the world to work, because this is great. This is the best place in the Guard. And then I would start going through a cycle. Every couple of years, sometimes less, rarely more, I would get notified that it was time to move. And then I would think to myself, well, it was good while it lasted. But then 2 or 3 months into that next gig, I would realize, well, this job is just as good or better than the last one. And that cycle has repeated itself over and over since my initial tour. And I came to realize what many in here already know. And that's this: while the jobs have been important and they provided personal satisfaction and organizational purpose, that's not what made them great. It wasn't the nature of the jobs, but it was the nature of the people around me that made them great. And this is especially true for my G8 family, where most of my jobs have been over the years. For those unfamiliar with the nomenclature, G8 is just the staff section that deals with requirements, resources, and basically all things money. So to those that I have been fortunate enough to work with over the years, thank you for being an awesome member of my work family. I only hope that I have been and will continue to be as good a member of the family that you have been to me. So that's number 1. Family number 2. Church family. So while we all have free time when we're not working, we have choices on how we divvy up that time. As we start allocating it to different places, groups will naturally start to form. And for me, one of those groups is the First Baptist Church of Alexandria, represented by many people out here in the audience today. Stacy and I started attending FBCA when we moved here in 2005. And we were essentially the Sunday morning attendees. You know, show up Sunday morning, leave at noon, grab lunch, and live the next 6 days, and then do it again. But like I said, families start to form when you spend more time and you start meeting more people. And we started increasing our time and involvement with our church in 2007 when JJ was born. Now, it wasn't a rule, but it was kind of a rule that if you had a kid in the nursery, you should volunteer to work in the nursery. All right, so we did. We started with once a month, then we moved to every other week slowly, and when Delaney came in 2010, you know, it increased even more. And our volunteer time with First Baptist basically grew along with the kids. When they moved from nursery to elementary, so did we. When they moved from the teen years into the youth group, so did we. And now they're both in the youth group, so that's where Stacy and I mostly volunteer, helping with things like Sunday nights, ski retreat in the winter, tough duty, youth camp in the summer, really is tough duty. And as our volunteer involvement increased, so did our interaction with other people at the church. We started meeting more people and slowly assimilating into the family. We met and got to know not just the kids that we were working with, but also the parents. And as we spent more time in these volunteer roles, I'm finding that much like my work family has built up and grown over time, a church family has as well. And I scan the crowd and I see a lot of you scattered out there, so thank you for making the time to be out here and join. Which actually made me think that we probably have enough to knock out Sunday morning service if the pastor's ready, and we could just sleep in Sunday. But then I thought a little bit more about it, and I said, you know what, there's a lot of G8 people in the room, and there's a lot of end-of-the-year unfunded requirements that by the time we pass the plates, we might come out owing money. So we'll just wait for Sunday. All right. So that's family number 2. And for number 3, last but certainly not least, is my personal family. I said earlier that we're in groups either by choice or by circumstance. And this is certainly true for my personal family. They mostly fall into the circumstance category. It consists of those that came by circumstance. Those are my parents, my sister, JJ, Delaney, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, and so on. They're in the family, and they don't have a choice. That's the way it is. You're born into it. Like it or not, you're stuck with the family you're born into. But even if I wasn't stuck with them by circumstance, I would still choose them. And a lot of them are also watching online, and so I want them to know that when it comes to being stuck with you, whether you like it or not, I am happy to be stuck with you. But I'd be remiss if I didn't specifically acknowledge my parents at this moment. As a parent myself, now I am experiencing the joys and at times frustrations that they no doubt went through in raising me. And I'm also seeing the investment of time and energy and resources that they made. And Mom and Dad, thank you for making that investment in me. I hope you are reaping some dividends today and still more into the future. And to my kids, JJ and Delaney, I'm so proud of both of you. I see in you great things, and I am so thankful that your mom and I have a front row seat to watch it all. So personal family also includes those that are embraced by choice rather than circumstance. So this includes some of my closest friends all the way back from the 6th grade, as I mentioned. Chris, David, Hodge, Paige, thank you for coming out here and making the trip. You talked about how you were here in 1992 at Fort Sill to see me graduate from basic training. And I think the real reason they came to that actually is because it was on a Friday and school had already started, so they got a day out of school to come. So they're like, yeah, who wouldn't do that? And of course, the most important piece of my personal family, not by choice, not by circumstance, but by choice. Rewind. Absolutely by choice is my wife, Stacy. All right. She probably didn't grasp what the journey would be like when we started our family almost 22 years ago, but I am glad that you chose me back to be part of your family. I love you, and I'm glad you were in my life. Now, this is the part where usually I would give a bouquet of flowers to my wife, right? You'll notice that there's no bouquet up here. That is not because I'm a bad husband, right? So while there have been plenty of times where I haven't been the best husband, this isn't one of them. When we were talking about this, she said, I don't want flowers. They're just going to die in a week, and I got to clean them up. And she said, really, all I want, this is what she said, all I want, honest to goodness, was extra icing on the cake. And if you've ever been to a family gathering at her side of the family, it's no kidding. Icing is a big deal. The first 4 pieces out of a cake are the 4 corners. So I had them place an extra rose on the corner that has extra icing. It's a corner piece, and that one is all yours. So when you all go through the line and you see that red rose back there, don't take that piece. That's Stacy's. And if you take it, I'm going to be in big trouble, and I don't want to be in big trouble. I am honoring my wife's preference and desire by doing that. So, just like a good husband should do. All right, almost done. Those are the 3 families I've talked about, and they're all very different in makeup and activities and personalities, but they're all really important to me. They've had and they will continue to have an outsized impact on who I am and who I will be in the future. And at the end of the day, more than rank or status, it's who we are at the core that really matters most. Now, don't get me wrong, it is quite an honor to hold this rank and to be asked to do important things for the National Guard and for the defense of the nation. But while the job that we do and the rank that we wear and the positions that we hold are important, they pale in comparison to the people that we are. And I have those of you in this room here today and for those watching online to thank for who I am and who I continue to strive to be. So it's technically called a promotion ceremony, but I really like to think of it more as a thank you opportunity. It's a chance for me to say thank you to my work family for making this the best place to spend a third of my days. It's a chance to say thank you to my church family for keeping me on the straight and narrow and holding me accountable when I stray. And finally, it's a chance to say thank you to my personal family for raising me, supporting me, being my friend when it was easy and when it was hard, and basically putting up with me. But most especially, thank you for loving me through the years. Final thank yous and shouts out obviously go to everyone that helped make this happen, especially the protocol team, Sam Stockley-Jackson, Sergeant Lammers, Sergeant French, and the rest of the team, the AV team that put this together, Colonel Roberts, Chaplain Stevens, Master Sergeant Keeks, who had to leave, General Jensen. Just thank you for all the hard work that went into making this happen, and there was a lot of hard work that made it happen. Thanks for hanging with me for this long. Cake and drinks is your reward, and it's just a few minutes away. No promotion is official without it. But I do want to make one note on the cake and the cupcakes and the cookies. So these were prepared by a young lady named Naya Woolley. Naya, are you here? Okay, there she is. She's in the back. Okay, so Naya recently graduated from high school and from our church's youth group. Last year, her brother Stefan was tragically killed in a car accident, and baking helped her cope through that difficult period. As she poured more time and effort into this hobby, watching YouTube videos and such, she noticed that more and more people were doing it as a side business, just right from their house, and she decided, well, I can do that. And so she did. And in honor of her brother, she calls her business Steph's Cookies, in honor of Stefan. So she's baking on the side to pay for college, where she's going to knock out some basic classes and hopefully get some headway made towards eventual medical school. So we're all rooting for you and pulling for you, Naya, for that. So if you're ever in need of a cake, a cupcake, or other baked goods, be sure to grab her contact information or just reach out to me, and I will make sure you get connected. There's also an informal reception that you're all invited to. If you RSVP'd no, don't worry about it. If you didn't RSVP at all, come on anyway. It's going to be held at Clyde's at Mark Center. It's on Beauregard, so you can Google it. Feel free to drop by for a drink and some snacks. We'll be there from 4:30 to 7 just to say hello. And feel free to drop by, stay for a while, or real quick as you head home to be with your family. With that, please accept my final thanks for being here today. Thank you.
Please be seated. Thank you and congratulations, Brigadier General Foote. Fun fact, Brigadier General Foote will be referred to on the streets as F1, as denoted by his last name and the number of stars on his chest. So I was doing some research because I was trying to find something funny to do with that, but I couldn't think of anything, but I thought of something better. I've known General Foote since 2011, since I came to the Guard, and if you press F1 on the computer, does anybody know what it does? Help? Who said it? All right, you win. You win a cookie. It is the help button for whatever screen that you're on, which I think, sir, is indicative of the type of officer you are and the type of general officer you will be. Whenever, from my understanding and research, anything that you needed, he would be there. He would be there to help you. He always mentored me. We talked a lot over the years, traveling back and forth from my overseas assignment. He was always there to lend a word or some encouragement. So I think that is very indicative of you, F1. So press F1 for help. Okay, so that is a very fitting reference, sir, as I talked about. And yes, JJ, he helped me with some jokes. I am trying to follow in your father's footsteps. Yeah, I like it. General Foote is going to be the new NGB Vice Director of Staff. He will replace Brigadier General Beavis. Sir, big shoes to fill, but that shouldn't be a problem for you. All right, sir. So my final words, just take it one step at a time. Stay on your toes, make sure everyone toes the line, and don't fall head over heel. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the benediction by Chaplain Stevens and remain standing for the singing of the Army song and departure of the official party.
If you would, let's pray together. Almighty God, what a joy it has been to gather together today and celebrate. You have said to us in your word that to whom much is given, much is required. And so, God, we ask that you direct all of our steps and give us the strength to carry out our responsibilities to the glory of your name. Each of us, in our own way, has a great responsibility to execute our office in a way that honors you and sacrificially serves others. As we close today, Father, help us do this well and do it with joy. We do particularly pray for Brigadier General Foote. As he takes on this new responsibility, we pray that you would continue to endow him with great wisdom and discernment to guide his service of men and women in the service of our nation. Bless him with a measure of energy and vision and empathy as he seeks to serve you while serving others. Thank you for the example that he has set before us and faithfully served each and every day. And last but certainly not least, we do pray for all the men and women around our world who continue to serve and protect our freedoms that we are enjoying even now. Protect them today. Remind them that there is a nation that is grateful for their service and their sacrifice. All glory and honor is unto you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our terrific ceremony. Thanks, Delaney. Please join Lieutenant General Jensen in congratulating Brigadier General Foote and his family. The receiving line begins here in front of the stage with the line forming along this wall to my right. You are invited to stay and enjoy refreshments, especially the homemade cookies and cake from Steph's Cakes. Thank you and have a wonderful day. That was not it was on the script, but I don't know what happened to it.
March along, sing a song with the army of the free. Count the brave, count the true, who have fought to victory. We're the army and proud of our name. We're the army and proudly proclaim. First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. And it's high, high, this way. Count off the cages loud and strong. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Okay, now it's officially over. Thank you. Congratulations.